by Neutral Voices Media Group. In the Know.
Welcome to In the Know, and I am your host, C-Statz, and we have a guest here. He's special, but he's a staple here at O.N.V and Neutral Voices Media Group, but he's here in a different capacity, and we're going to talk about financial literacy. We're going to talk about the mind state, the mental mind state of being a financial literate. Our guest tonight is our own J.J. Foster. I'm going to let you introduce yourself. We know you from the sports. We know you from up close, but there's another position you hold in O.N.V. Introduce yourself and tell us what you do with O.N.V.
All right. Well, hey, it's good to be on your show, C-Statz. I appreciate it. You know, I watch you guys In the Know. I thought I was going to be on with some of your co-hosts. And I'm going to have to tell them about themselves next time I film. Because, I was looking forward. I was hyped. All this weekend, that's all I'm thinking about. Get to meet some of my idols.
Yes, I hear you.
But, I host one of the co-hosts of Respect the Game with Mike Ayers and Shalante and the crew, Financial Literacy with Ryan Leopard. And people see me do some of my one-on-ones with Up Close in Fort Wayne. So, it's good to sit on this side of the microphone for once. And, for those that may not know, I'm a, high school basketball coach. I'm a loan mortgage originator for Lake City Bank. And, I'm a lifelong Fort Wayne resident. So,
yeah. Now, we're talking about financial literacy, and that's a common thing that's going around. Everybody's talking about, being more astute or aware of your finances and how they move and how to work them, how to have them work for you as well. Now, at what level or what age or what state of mind should we start teaching about financial literacy?
Honestly, you can't put a age on it. It's from the time you start talking to your child, I guess, that they can comprehend, that they can learn. It's never too early. That's one of the things, in our community, there's a lot of stuff you think about. I say, boy, get on out of here. You don't need to know that. Or, you too young. But then you look at some of the other communities and some of the things and times that they're talking to their kids, answering questions. It's funny. I supervise visits as well. And I've seen, it's funny, I've got a dad and his kid is about 3 years old. And, anything that kid asks, the dad will answer him like he talking to somebody our age.
Oh, yeah.
And at first, I kind of like, man, we kind of, you answer that kid like that. But on the token, the little kid, he listening. And he talking, and his dad will say something. He said, okay. And then I started watching the dialogue and the conversation back and forth. So to your question, that's what I would say. Right now, it's not a secret. That's one of the things, one of the reasons that, we're behind in our community. If I had a nickel for every time somebody said, man, JJ, nobody ever told me that.
Right.
So, we know the things that are out there systemically that held us back.
Right.
But then, right there in our own homes, we had some, affluent people of color that just, we didn't share just because.
Right. And that's something, as growing up, your mom and dad didn't want to tell you about bills and how much it was a secret. The financial makeup of the household or the running of the household, it was a secret. It was nothing that we were privileged to know. Like you say, just go be a child and, not know about that. But then, again, among all other things that put us behind, that's another hurdle that puts us behind. So we don't know. So now, in not knowing, what are some things that you would say our community may not know or not following or not doing that continues to plague us? Financially, that is.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny that you said that because right now, I think I've said on other shows, I think we are more educated now than I know we were the last 10, 20 years. It's a lot of people that do know things because there's a lot of banks. Every bank in town has a curriculum that's going out teaching financial literacy. There's several different organizations in town. And when you say not knowing, I mean, just simple stuff. We can start with purchasing a home.
Mm-hmm.
And, we hear about stuff like equity and escrow.
Mm-hmm.
And again, a lot of that stuff go right over our head.
Yes.
And who actually is going to tell somebody they don't know what that is, So therefore, we might be involved in the conversation. You talking to me about your refinance. Yeah, I put this equity out of my house. I really don't know what that means, but I can't ask you because I don't want to be embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
But through all these classes and things, an example I use all the time, it's funny because I was teaching a class one time and I asked somebody, I said, hey, how much money do you need to put down if you were going to get a loan mortgage for your house? And I had a young lady, she raised her hand. She said 20%. And I said, 20%? Woo, that's a lot.
That's a lot of money on some houses.
Yeah. But you know what? Then I kind of chuckled to myself because I knew where she got that from, but I wanted to follow through just to make sure we was on the same page. I said, why'd you say 20%? She said, because that way you avoid PMI. And again, I laughed because I said to everybody else in the class, hey, you done just brought up another term, PMI.
Right.
What's that? Private mortgage insurance. That anytime you borrow over 80%,
Mm-hmm.
you getting hit with that.
Right.
So this young lady had been through a class that that was her mindset. So when you say that, I just think a lot of people, like I said, we're out there. When you think about our financial literacy workshops that we're doing through
Mm-hmm.
O.N.V,
Yes.
4-part series. The first one went great, and it's just all that dialogue and back and forth. Lake City Bank, we go to any organization that asks, any groups. I've done stuff privately. You get a group of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we can meet wherever you want to meet
Right.
and sit down because the FDIC actually has a curriculum that everybody is allowed to use, so people cater it and make it fit their products and whichever way they wanted to go. So that's how we educate in our community. But again, like I said, people always say, "Man, I didn't know."
Yeah, and even with mortgages and buying houses right now, I think a lot of people are still gun shy from years ago those balloon payments, and a lot of people say it was with mortgage payments being so high and the availability of houses being so low that it's going into that same direction. But a house as an asset or land as an asset, we don't value or we don't take on a lot of that. And why do you think that is? Like, we'll rent before we buy, and we'll be comfortable renting because we think buying is too much to do.
Yeah, I'm glad you finished. You said too much to do because there's lawn care, there's repairs, things that become your own burden, things that you're responsible for. But a lot of people get confused. They think they can't afford to buy a home, which is hilarious because outside of that down payment and closing costs, 9 times out of 10, your mortgage payment is going to be less than what you're paying for rent. And that's the things, we try to point out to people and let them see. And so when you hear somebody like Kamala Harris talk about, $25,000, that down payment, that's the biggest hurdle. Right. We have a 0 down product. Other banks have different stuff that they're doing to help people with that down payment. Because once you clear that hurdle, your best interest is really is owning a house. Because when we talk about, equity, and for people that don't know, the equity is actually your money. When you pay rent, I'm putting somebody else's kids through college. Right. I buy a house, I'm using the equity, I'm putting my own kids through college. Yes. So it's funds that's there. It gives you, some bargaining power with that home. That's what an asset is. So I always, encourage it. And the thing right now that's getting tougher and tougher. And again, like you said, I've been sitting in this seat, so I feel like I'm being redundant, but people have heard me say it. I never could say it too much.
Right.
Is our inventory, and you hit on it, is, the rates right now have went up. We saw historical lows in the 2s and in the 3s, and then they shot back up. And now, the cost to build a home and everything else is tough. They're not building any homes for under $200,000. Right. And so if somebody makes $45,000, $50,000, the amount of home that they actually can afford is under what they're building the home for. Yes. So now when you go out and you're looking and you're searching and trying to find, now again, with that lack of inventory, and when I say inventory, that's a lack of houses
Yes.
in that price range, now it's very competitive, and they're going to have to do something for people because we know right now, as much progress that we have in Fort Wayne, livable wage paying jobs is not moving at the same pace
Correct.
as this progress
Yeah.
that we're seeing. And so we got a sector of the community of folks that, got good jobs. But again, think about it, 50,000 a while back, you could pretty much live where you wanted in Fort Wayne. Now 50,000, unless you got a roommate or you're married,
Right.
it's going to be tough finding something.
Yeah. And that is another problem. People budgeting. We talked about budgeting and you talk about houses. The one thing is I can't afford a house because I'm looking at my budget, or I can't budget because I got, this, that, or the other. What is it about budgeting, or what can help us in budgeting that can change our financial situation? Is it savings? Is it, because a lot of us have spent $90 out of 100 and it's not that. But how can we develop a practical budget, or what is a practical budget that we should look at to help our finances?
Man, you know what? It really is a state of mind. And when you look and we talk about financial literacy, a mental state of mind, that is the absolute truth. Some of it is a state of mind. Some of it is, again, what I'm talking about. I hear somebody, I said, making $50,000 a year, but we got people that's making 25, 30, 4 kids. You talking about a budget, you talking about saving. I'm trying to make ends meet.
Right.
So, what do? I got to, rob Peter to pay Paul. What bill do I pay? It becomes a shell game. So it's not as easy. I don't want to just, gloss over it.
Right.
And that's the one thing too about our show. We got so many different levels of people that's listening, that's watching. So people that are all different phases. But I'll tell you a funny story. Just when I say a state of mind, I used to go to the mall. Me and my cousin back in Southtown, hanging in Southtown.
I remember them days.
And I had an uncle. My uncle would give us $20 a piece. Now back then we had 20. We go to the mall. Hey, I take my 20. I might buy a pop, but I'm coming home with no less than with $15, $18.
Right.
My cousin, hey man, let me borrow $2. He done ran through his 20.
Right.
Every rip. And I say, my mother tells stories of this day, talk about, hey, finding my money up under my bed, my sock that I'm saving. If you give it to me, I'm saving. That's always been my mindset.
Right.
Even at a young age. And it's the same thing as we become adults. What's a need? What's a want? That's the first thing when you sit down with anybody that's going over you about a budget, any type of financial advisor or whatnot. We're going over your needs, wants. What do you absolutely need? What can you do without? When you talk to folks, cable TV, that's not a necessity.
Right.
Honestly too, hey, getting nails done. And I know a lot of people, hey, getting nails done every Friday here, there's ways around that,
right.
Getting through that. I talk to some people, they like, oh yeah, shoot, I buy the little tips. Right. Other people, they got to go to the store, get the things done. But again, what can you live with? What can you live without? That's where it starts. And then you move from there. And then, if you got to get an extra job, I'm gonna work this extra job and I'm gonna put that up. That's gonna be, our little gravy. We, versus some people, they work that extra job, and what that's just extra money coming in. I'm gonna spend it. And the other thing I'll say on that is, you get people that think, okay, just because somebody has money, they don't have these problems that we're talking about. But there's people I know that make 6 figures, and just what you talking about, they can't budget their money. That just means the more money coming in, the more access they have to do different things, but they still, at the end of the day, are struggling with their budget, with their credit score, things of that nature. So I don't want people to think just because, you making 30,000, somebody over here making 200,000, they got some of the same issues.
Yes. And that's funny because I just heard a statement. It was a man, he was saying, what league is this? It's an NBA or the NFL. And he named off the whole lot of things, some criminal things. But then he got to the fact that, 70% credit is below. They can't afford houses. They can't do this. the credit cards are maxed out. And then they say, what league is this? And the NBA, and then they say, no, it's the Congress.
Yes.
So when you hear that, it is. But how can I change my mindset that when I see a dollar, that I don't spend a dollar? Because a lot of us, we've come from backgrounds, and if my parents didn't make $50,000 at the time and they couldn't afford, but I'm at a afforder that I can afford, and sometimes we overcompensate with our children for the things that we didn't have. How can I get in the mindset of just because I have that dollar, I don't have to spend that whole dollar?
Yeah, you get in the mindset, like I said, of what do you actually need?
But I need my hair done. I need my nails. I need the new Jordans. I need that new car.
Well, there you go. And you need the latest cell phone,
Yes.
and all that good stuff. But I mean, yeah, a lot of time, we got to get out of that trying to keep up with the Joneses. We in the social media era, just because somebody, we see people on Facebook not understanding if it's real, if that's how they really live, or if that's not how they really live. Everybody putting on airs. So I mean, it's just a matter of being who you are. Understanding what you can afford. Nobody's telling you not to live a good quality of life, and that's the thing. If I'm living a good quality of life, I'm comfortable. I'm cool. People tell me all the time, you need to throw rims on this. You need to throw rims on that. Why you ain't got this? Why you ain't got that?
Yeah.
I'm polite. I just sit there and kind of chuckle. I don't need all that.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to understand.
Yeah. It's funny because we went to the sneaker ball, and I went to the sneaker ball, and I had on some Reebok Classics. And somebody was like, man, you ain't go get the newest Jordans and this. I was like, no, because that's not me. But I'm not going to spend that much money, on a pair of shoes that, because Jordans, we paid $45, $50 when they was first coming out. Now they $300-$400. That's just
and you're going to pay that money look like somebody else. Come on, man.
But that's the problem. I think we have where you say needs versus want. I think a lot of our needs is to look like we have versus having, and I think, like you say, keeping up with the Joneses, we got to get out of that materialistic, that idea that I have to look this way, because again, that plays into and commercialize our music, our TV, our magazines, correct, social media. They program us that we need these things. So
yeah, I'll tell you a story. I mean, it fits that. Down at the Y, this was some years ago, and just hanging with the fellas, bunch of brothers, we hanging, and a guy walked in, had on an old grimy sweatsuit, some topsiders, and looked like he just rode in. Of course, what the fellas do, they cracking. Right. This guy, blah, 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 man, who that dude, blah, blah, blah. I didn't say that. I said, y'all know who that is? They didn't know who it was. And I said, hey, that guy right there is one of the tops in the country at what he does. But to your point, hey, you walk out there, he was driving an old little piece of something, and wasn't cared about all that. But again, I guarantee you, every guy walked there, they putting on their gold, they walking out. They had the Gucci sweatsuits and whatever, the latest and greatest, and that's where our money goes. This cat got a house in Florida, a house in California, and I mean, that's what you got to understand.
Yeah, and that's where we are now. And we talk about credit. In credit, if we don't understand our credit right now, it could affect us. We talked about owning houses. We talk about all of that. If we don't work on our credit now, that could affect us in the long run. Like, I was talking, because we talked about credit in a previous seminar, is my first credit was a student loan. At the time, I couldn't get a business loan. At 18, not going to loan me $70,000 to open up a business. But at 18, you're going to loan me $70,000 to go to school, which, it's a double, because it helps me, with school. But they came and got their money when they wanted it. But it messed up my credit for a little while, because all those loans and all those penalties and all those interests, we don't understand credit. How can we prevent us from getting into those credit pitfalls?
Understand it, and again, just trying to teach and educate. At our first financial literacy seminar, shout out to Ryan Rico. She told a story about, she graduated from college. She had a bank account down in college when she was down there, and so kept her money in there. So when it was time to come home, she pulled her money out and came on home. But they said, for doing that, there was some type of fees, all these fees, and want to say it was about $20 or something. Right. So when they sent it to your house, she looking at it, young lady, hey, not paying no attention to it. So then they started adding all kind of other fees on top of that fee. And at the end of the day, they just start mounting. And it did. It showed up on her credit all the way to the point where she went to apply for a job. And the job was going to be where you're working with, some finances and things that they pulled her credit and said, we can't hire you because she's like, what? So, I mean, to your point, that's exactly it. When you're young, and I can say I've seen her story all the time. That's why I actually had her tell it to the group, because I've had, I promise, about 3 or 4 situations where somebody has purchased a car. The car turns out to be a lemon.
Mm-hmm.
They tell the people who come get it. The people come get it and take it back. So, hey, they thinking, hey, I got the car
repo.
back. Yeah, there you go. Hey, they thinking, so then they come to me to buy a house, and you look on there, and it's like, hey, you got a repo, your car. Well, no, it's sticked on your credit.
Yes.
So, yes, understand, like you said, that's all you can do is educate and make sure you stay on top of it. And again, I say, people are more astute now because, everybody got that on your phone.
Yeah.
And they, people, there you go. People pulling up and they telling me, now that stuff isn't always accurate, but it puts you in the wheelhouse, because I have my score, I'm ready to come see you, And I was like, okay, we're going to do that till we pull it.
Right.
But again, they stay on top of it. And honestly, I say, that's what you got to do. And the other thing I say, man, shame on the folks that, putting stuff in their kids' names.
Oh, you read my mind.
Yeah,
do we still do that?
People still do that, and the kid coming there, they become grown, and no, yeah, you didn't pay this bill, but what? I was 8. No, we got to do better. When you know better, just do better. So
now, the seminar that's coming up is called Insufficient Savings, and that's on this Saturday, the 21st, correct?
9/21, 4 to 6, Fort Wayne Urban League.
Fort Wayne Urban League. And I like the title, The Insufficient Savings. Now, we talked about it earlier because we robbing Peter, pay Paul. We can't save, or we don't think we can save, but we can save for what we want to save for, JJ.
Yes.
Because that trip I want to go on, I can save for that trip I want to go on. That new purse, those new shoes, I can save for that. But the whole title of insufficient savings, what is insufficient savings?
Insufficient savings, that's just it. Where, you open it up. How can I save? What can I do to get those funds? And I'm going to tell you, we didn't hit on something, a lot of reasons why people can't save either.
Mm-hmm.
Impulse buys. You dance around it, you talk about saving for what you want to do,
right?
But impulse buys. And just like I keep alluding to everything on their phone, same thing too. They got all these algorithms and things that they know exactly your price point. They know your style of clothes that you want. They heard what you talking about, them shoes you want. It's popping up on your phone. Oh yeah, got to have beep, beep, beep. Impulse buys. And so, one of the things we do with our financial literacy programs, and we call it a mental state of mind, we bring in mental health experts too. So they're there, they're a part of the conversation. And so when you start talking about impulse buys and things, and I talked about mindset, that's what they're there for too, to add to the conversation, to help us train, get you some tools, some knowledge on different ways that, we can navigate our thoughts and get out of some of these ruts. But yeah, that impulse buying is real.
Oh, so the new whatever just came out, and I can't go get it. I shouldn't go get it. I gotta save. New iPhones. I don't think iPhones has changed their whole get up, just the outside, in years. But there's a 12. There's a 12.5. I mean, and it doesn't. But you need to. In every year, there's a new iPhone to come out. You don't need a new iPhone every year.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, you know what, man? My mentality, I was just telling somebody the other day. I said, I don't care if you drive to work in a rocket ship every day, right? You got you a rocket.
Right.
Hey, after what, that first week, yeah, your rocket, ooh, sweet, you different. But then after that, then what? It ain't nothing to you. Right. I mean, it's just,
yeah.
What difference do it make whether you came in a rocket or if you came in a Yugo?
Right.
It got you to work. Right. It's not that deep, but that's what, some people get. Got to have the latest, greatest. But when you stop to think about it, I mean, you going to get bored with or tired of. Think about Christmas for kids. Hey, you get a kid, this, that, the other, that shiny new toy. Oh, they playing the heck with that mug for the day of Christmas, maybe even 2 days, 3 days after that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that next week, where that toy at?
Yeah.
Over in the corner, they don't know where it is, broke, whatever.
Right.
You know, so.
Yeah, you so true. In tax time, why every February through April, you in Walmart seeing people getting these 75-inch TVs? You just bought a 75-inch TV on Black Friday. You don't need one in March. Where are you putting all these TVs? And that's the impulse buying, because I have a little extra, then I just got to buy a little extra. And talking about taxes, I heard on one of y'all financial shows, they were talking about how to save your taxes and how to make it work. But we don't. We get it, and we think that's free money, and we're spending it. Yeah. How can we make our tax return work for us?
I mean, you just said it. We talked about it then. But again, I talk about the mental health expert. Again, just changing that mindset. Like, I got it. It don't matter. It don't mean you got to go out and buy, the new iPhone for the kids. It don't mean that, you get this, that, the other. Why not? You get it. You put it in something. Do a little research. Go out and visit. We talk about relationships with banks all the time. Walk in there, check with them, see what's going on. CD rates are going up, right now. I mean, I think some are at 5%.
That's not
exactly.
That's
so
really
you
good.
Get you a CD, 3 months, 6 months, whatever. 5, and you don't really need that money, because that's the other thing. I mean, you put in a CD, you don't want to pull it out because there's penalties.
Right.
But if you got your little nest egg in, some money that I wouldn't necessarily count.
Right.
I'm gonna put it over here. I'm just gonna watch it grow.
Right.
I'm gonna watch it grow. For then, there is something that I really want to do or really need to do. Now I've got it. So.
Yeah. Well, I thank you, JJ. But I want you to tell us about the seminar coming up this Saturday. Who's going to be on your panel and all that's going to be discussed?
Okay. Well, yeah. Like I said, O.N.V, financial literacy, a mental state of mind. We had our 1.0. Was the first one. This one coming up September 21st, 4 to 6 at Fort Wayne Urban League, which is 2135 South Hannah Street. We're going to be talking about insufficient savings and impulse buying. So trying to come up with some tips for you, some cues to get you, like I said, to change your thought process, to let you know it's going to be a discussion. I mean, it's not a situation where you walk in, we're going to be talking down to anybody, we're going to be talking at you, we're going to be talking with you. That first one, like I said, we had a great discussion. And the thing that makes them so great, so unique, is a lot of times, everything that we set up here and talked about, a lot of times people think that they're unique to their own problems. They think this is our situation.
Right.
But you get in that room, you get in that group, and people are talking and saying some of the same things, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute. They're going through the same thing I'm going through.
Right.
Now, you get that confidence, you got that support to help you through the situations. And, in addition to the financial experts that we're going to have, on the panel, we've got mental health counselors up there. And again, not up there conducting therapy,
right?
Which nothing is wrong with that, but
right.
That's the thing. We got to, getting rid of that stigma,
right?
They're in the room again, talking, adding, helping, speaking to you in a human, simplistic sort of way,
right?
In addition to feeding you your knowledge regarding financial literacy and mental health, we're also gonna feed you. We have a nice spread so you can come in there and get your belly full. Nice little giveaways, because there's gonna be some vendor tables, different banks around the room, as well as other organizations from around the community. So you actually too, you get your name put into for a big screen TV. I believe I know O.N.V put in for a big screen TV. And the one thing I'll say this: anything that I'm involved with, it's going to be, we try to keep it respectful of people's time. So we're going to give you some good quality work. We're going to feed you. And again, we're going to have a good time and get you out, in a good time. So hope to see everybody out there. Again, this is the second of a 4-part. So the other 2 will come in October and November. But again, come on out. Let's celebrate, have a good time, and continue to grow that knowledge.
Yeah. And this is a free seminar, correct?
Say it again. Free.
This is a free seminar.
Free, yeah. And when I talk about feeding you, I'm talking about we ain't got no finger food. We talking about, hey, we had a spread. Hey, chicken, pizza.
Yes.
Some sirloins. Now I'm playing. but no, it was a nice dinner. People broke bread. Go out and ask around. It's a good event, and we're looking forward for it to be even bigger. So come on out, and if you got young people, it's for the young people too. Because just like you said, what age? No, we had some high school kids that were there last time, and we encourage you bring out the young people and let them get that knowledge as well. And if it gets too big or we get enough young people, our plan is to have 2 different rooms where the young people are learning, the old people are learning on one side, and then we bring them together and continue the discussion together. So come on out. Hope to see you there.
Yes. Once again, JJ, I just want to thank you for sitting down and, speaking with me, educating the community and giving them resources and everything. I hope there's something that was said to someone that, be it impulse buying, trying to figure out savings, looking at a mortgage, just try to change your financial situation. And I know JJ, everybody in town knows JJ. And if you stop him, JJ will talk to you. He might not be the man to help you at the time, but he's going to direct you in the right way, get you in touch with the right people. Also, this seminar, come to O.N.V. And again, if we don't have the answers there, JJ, his panel, and all of them, I'm sure they will get in contact with you and get you all the information you need. We want to thank you for joining us and continue to stay with us. But Saturday, let's see you Saturday, 4 to 6 at the Urban League.
Yes, sir.
Let's see you there. And we want to thank you again. And as we always say, before we leave our people here on Neutral Voices, always protect your mind.
A podcast by Neutral Voices Media Group. In the Know.